If you're anything like me and you've hoarded all of the Dollar Tree calendars and you need some ideas on how to use them, today's video is just for you. Project number 1 is a calendar. I'm going to be using one of these perpetual calendars from Dollar Tree. It's the one with the simple back so that we can add something to it. I'm going to pull that front box off and remove any loose paper. The front is now going to be the back, so I'm going to use my glue stick and I'm going to glue a piece of craft paper on the back. Once that has dried, I'm going to sand away the excess paper. Flipping that over, I'm going to be painting what was the back, and I'm going to use Waverly chalk paint in ink. I'm also going to be painting the box that was on the front. While those pieces dry, I'm going to be making a frame for the front just using a spare piece of wood that I had pulled off of another project. So I made a little pattern of how big I wanted my frame to be. It will actually fit the smaller calendar pieces on the back of the calendars. Once I have those pieces to fit, I'm going to turn them over and I'm going to be using a smaller popsicle stick to glue them all together. I'll only be adding one of these sticks to the sides and the bottom. These popsicle sticks provide a way to hold the frame together, but also a space where we can slide that calendar page down inside. Once the glue has dried, I'm going to paint the frame with the black ink chalk paint. I will also be dry brushing on some Waverly plaster chalk paint to give it more of a worn look. Once all the pieces are dry, we can reassemble the pieces back together. Now for the frame, I'm only going to be gluing on 3 sides. So we're going to glue on the places where we have those popsicle sticks and we're going to leave that top open. Now we can add those small pictures of the calendar pages. You could actually change this for every season. There's enough room in the frame to store a few of those calendar pieces. Projects number 2 and 3 are actually interchangeable. This is one of the summer wood rounds from Dollar Tree. It's fairly large. I'm going to cut off that hanger and I'm also going to remove the paper, and I'm going to be using 2 calendar pages out of one of the new calendars for 2024. One thing I have found that works well on this paper is to pull off as much as you can and then just put a damp paper towel over what's left, and you'll be able to go back and scrape it off with no trouble. Now I'm going to be painting the front, sides, and the back with Waverly ink chalk paint. By having a black background, you actually prevent those black numbers and letters from showing through the calendar pages once you glue it down. Once the paint has dried, I'm going to be adding some Mod Podge to one side of the round, and I'm going to let that completely dry. Now I'm lining up the November calendar page with the hole at the top. I did use a hole punch to make the hole a little bit bigger so that it would align with the hole on the wood round. Then I'm using a pressing cloth and I'm going to be using the iron-on method with this Mod Podge and the calendar page. Once I have that adhered and it's cooled down, I'm going to sand away the edges. This makes for a nice clean edge and a perfect round. Now for a finishing touch. But since this project will be used for 2 different months, it does need to be removable. So I'm going to be making a swag for the top, which will be wired on so that we can remove it later. I pulled a couple of eucalyptus stems from the eucalyptus from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to wire those onto the top, as well as one of these white velvet pumpkins. Making it removable will allow the round to lay flush against a wall or a door when it is the opposite season. I also added a white beaded hanger for this piece. Project number 3 is the back side of this round. We've already painted it black, so I'm also going to add Mod Podge once again and do the same thing with the December calendar page. Iron it on, let it cool, and then sand away the edges. This is a great project if you have a small apartment or limited space to store holiday items. This is 2-in-1. To make the swag for the top of the December round, I'm using a couple of these winter branches as well as some red berries. Project number 4 is using a thrifted piece. I'm not sure where this was from originally, but I got it for $1.91, and it looked like that was hand painted on the front, but it was actually paper. But the paper was adhered really, really well, so I pulled away as much as I could, and then it took quite a bit of time to let my wet paper towel sit on it so that I could sand it away. Once again, I'm going to paint the middle of this with black Waverly chalk paint, and I'm leaving the wood part at the top and the bottom just as it is. And this brush I found on Amazon, it's fabulous. The paint goes on really, really well. It's great for trimming. I actually think it is a trimming brush, but I got it for like $5, so it's a great price. Another coat of Mod Podge, and we'll let that dry. I did have to search through all the Dollar Tree calendars to find something that would fit in this space, and this was the best one that I came up with. So this is another Christmas one, but I'm cutting the edges here so that when I go back to iron it on, I don't have any wrinkles or creases. I'm using my Hippo mini iron here to iron on the page. Same process as before. I cut away the excess and then I sanded away the edges. Project number 5 is a glass cutting board. This is a glass cutting board from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to open it up, remove the sticker, and remove all the little plastic feet. We will be using the bottom of this cutting board for this project. Once I've picked a calendar page, I'm going to place the cutting board on top and trace around it and cut that out with scissors. I'm going to dry fit it just to make sure that it is the proper size, and if there's any excess I can trim that away. Now I'm going to be applying Mod Podge on the bottom of the cutting board. That way we can still use the top of the cutting board for food. Once I have the Mod Podge applied, I'm going to place that calendar page down on it wet. I wasn't sure at this point if I wanted to iron it or not, so I did place it down wet with plenty of Mod Podge. I did use a scraper tool just to make sure there weren't any air bubbles and to remove any excess glue. Now I'm going to apply another layer of Mod Podge on top of the calendar page. I did let it completely dry. I thought that I would paint black paint over it, but then I decided to use some black cardstock, and I traced around the cutting board on the black cardstock, and then I used the iron-on method to apply it. And just to protect it a bit, I did add another coat of Mod Podge. Waterproof Mod Podge would probably be the best thing, but I definitely would only wipe the top of this down. Here's a couple of different ways that I styled it. Project number 6 is a display board for your calendar pages. For this one, you'll need one of these burlap frames from Dollar Tree. And your Dollar Tree calendars, I'm actually going to be using the larger piece that's on the back of the calendar. To make the calendar pages a little more sturdy, I did use a glue stick and I stuck them to some more of that black cardstock. And I left kind of a frame around it as well. I wanted a unique way to hang this piece, so I dug in my jewelry crafting stash and I found some chain and a large jump ring. So I made the chain in two pieces and I attached it to the jump ring, and now I'm going to attach each end of the chain to the back of the frame. Because this is pretty much lightweight, I just used a thumbtack. Now I'm going to take one of these binder clips that I got on Amazon and I'm going to glue it to the front so that it holds each of these pages. This would be the perfect way to display some of your favorite photos as well. I hope you enjoyed these calendar DIYs today, and I thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share the chic. Bye now.